I was on a couple of shows with Flair, actually quite a few. At one point, I was seeing him on a couple of shows. I know I did the one show I did with the Baltimore Civic Center for the AWA. It was a combined AWA NWA show, and that's where I met Rick. And the funny thing about it was we were getting checked by the commission, and I was always trying to see how my blood pressure was in relation to everybody else, because I was never on steroids, but usually 80% of the locker room was, and so their blood pressures were really high. And so the on this particular card, the people with the two lowest blood pressures were me and Flair. And so that was kind of interesting. But Flair could drink all night and then still make it to the gym and work out the next day. So he was pretty amazing from that perspective.
Yeah, I mean, and he's still going. He's still relevant to this day. But it's amazing that the amount that he partied, that he had a career as long as he did. But it seems like he was just kind of a unique person. He was always full of energy. I never heard stories about him doing anything other than alcohol.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
he like had like an aura about him that would even like elevate people around him. And he'd walk onto like a flight at 6 in the morning, wooing, and like everyone would be like getting the energy from him and stuff.
Well, I mean, I mean, he lived a lifestyle, but, I think it was just alcohol. I think he knew better to get into the other stuff, um, because it is so much more detrimental. Now, of course, I mean, you party all the time, that does add up. But, he wasn't a guy that would have abused steroids, at least abused them, because that wasn't his thing. He had a great build. But it wasn't like he was like overly muscular. That wasn't his selling point. He had a great build, but it wasn't that big bodybuilder build. And so steroids with drugs and with alcohol, that's just a bad combination. But I
Yeah.
think he was able to avoid any of the, like, the harder drugs. He not particularly roided out, and it was just alcohol was the downfall.